Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Saturday, June the 8th, and it is episode 73 of The Wise Guys. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. And without any further ado, I will bring in my co-host with the most, JC Blue Note himself, Mr. Jim Cornetti. And James, happy early. Is it fucking June already, bro?
I mean, we're almost to the middle of June. We're at the 8th. I mean, this time next week,
Dude,
it's going to be Father's Day, and we're going to be right at the halfway point of the month already.
this is insanity. Where the hell is 2024 going? And speaking of being to middle of June, we got a lot to get to tonight, my friend.
I mean, just it's amazing what the extra 3 days and I'm sorry, I'm gonna like find a sound clip of this, but squirrel.
Yeah. I promise in the blast I'll be doing the same thing because right now the TV is off, but I will turn it back on. I'll have the scoreboard up there so you don't have to constantly look over your shoulder. But there's a lot going on in the world of sports, Jim. What do you say we waste no time and hop right into it right now?
I need like 2 seconds.
Are you not prepared?
I am prepared. I'm just updating something on the fly.
Oh, okay. Oh, what you said to me in the chat?
Not exactly, but I figure what you and I literally talked about seconds before we went live about next week's show, so I'm trying to update that before I forget.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's the three biggest topics in the world of sports from the last week. Get ready for the Wise Guys hat trick.
And once again, extremely appropriate to lead off the show with a goal horn, as we're going to talk about both the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. Of course, the NBA Finals 1-0 Boston as the Celtics took Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks to the woodshed. And it wasn't the usual suspects as they got the unicorn himself back, Kristaps Porzingis, who had a huge night in Game 1. And as we are speaking, which is why Jim is constantly looking over over the side of the computer screen. It is Game 1 of Jim's, and honestly, the best playoff set that we have in pro sports. Are they still getting outshot?
Yeah, and they actually just forced a turnover down below the goal line, and I'm not sure if it was Matty Kachuk or if I think Carter versus Swaggy's got his second tonight. They're showing the replay right now. Great dump and chase.
Evan Rodriguez,
Mr. Stanley Cup winner himself. I'll never forget where he actually won the 14 Cup against the Rangers in Game 6 in overtime. Game 5 in overtime.
Really?
Double overtime. As a matter of fact, it was almost an identical play. Threw it off the end boards and then chased in and then actually banked home a rebound.
I remember that. I didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yep.
So let's start with the NBA Finals, which goes to Game 2 tomorrow night in Boston. I'd say Porzingis is healthy. How about you?
I think that's like the world's worst kept secret right now. I mean, we knew that he was going to be. We didn't know how effective he was going to be. And he showed up in a big way. And I gotta say, right now, after Game 1, if it keeps up this way, you gotta look at Porzingis as possibly a Finals MVP.
Well, I mean,
the hell was...
I thought you were changing your alarm tone.
you know what it did is that it set it for 12 seconds, not 12 minutes, because we're shortening things.
So we think.
Yeah.
I watched some of the highlight reel from Game 1, and I got to tell you, that did not look like the Dallas Mavericks team that took apart the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. Do they have to rebound and get one in Boston to get this thing back to Boston, you think?
They're going to have to, but I think the problem is now with Porzingis in the lineup, Dallas isn't big enough to match up with with Boston. It was on, and I think one of Florida's, and Rodriguez either took one off the knees or in the nuts because he went down like a sack of hammers and is basically limping his way back to the bench. That looked like it hurt. That was definitely a block shot that he went down on, but I didn't see where it landed. But I've actually seen sacks of concrete that fell softer.
You're on it with your simile this evening, sir. I have to give you credit where credit is due on that.
Well, the sack of hammers, I'll actually give full credit to Jim Houston with EA Sports because I stole that right out of the old NHL Hits video game.
I remember that.
Jim Houston was so good. It wasn't Jim Houston. It was Tim Kritzrow, the Boom Shakalaka guy.
Boom Shakalaka.
Because he called NHL Open Ice as well as NBA Jam. Or NHL Hits, they called it.
All right, we need to get back on topic if we're going 12 minutes because if I'm saying get back on topic, there's something wrong, Jim. Anyways, so do you think this goes to 5 games or 6 games? What do you think is going to happen in the NBA Finals?
Dallas is going to get one. They're too talented not to, but they've got to change a lot of things up after that performance.
Agreed.
Although the strange thing is because it was relatively close early, the first couple of minutes, and then Boston turns it on. But also remember that Dallas did get it to within 8 in the third, and then Boston just weathered the storm and then just pulled away again.
Yeah, I don't know. Those kind of games in the NBA especially, I don't know if that's more team took their foot off the gas or if that's talent getting you points to get to a place where you're bringing it within a couple of possessions. So I think it's going to be seen. Let's see how each team comes out in game 2 tomorrow night. Listen, if Boston puts this team on it, puts it on them early and starts taking them to the woodshed, you got to think this may not get back to Boston.
Yeah, although you would love to actually see because I'm trying to remember when they won in 2008, if they won it in the Garden. I think they did because that was possible. So
yeah, anything is possible.
I want to say the last 3 times the Celtics have won a championship, they've done it on the parquet.
I think they have 2. 08 and
86, 81, and 08. Yeah, they all won them on the parquet. I think the last time that they won was like 7. Was their last one in the 70s. I think they won on the road. I'd have to double check that.
Yeah, well, because they won it at home when the Havlicek steals it call.
Yeah, but that was going back in the 60s.
Okay, that's right. Havlicek was the 60s and 70s.
That was. I want to say that was the 68 or 69 team, and I want to say the 68 was the second greatest Celtics team ever, behind that 86 team.
Speaking of that 86 team, that was a pretty classy thing they did before the game.
Very.
With them wearing the Walton t-shirts, that was phenomenal. So let's jump onto the ice real quick, and let's talk about the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers for just a moment, as it is 2-0 2-0 Florida. Excuse me, with 13:23 left in the second period. Jim said this to me before we went live. In the first period, Edmonton, as I dropped the phone, it scared the cats. My fault. Edmonton outshot the Panthers 13-4, but it was 1-0. Florida at the end of the
13-6, and now it's 2-0.
So who's in goal for Edmonton?
Stuart Skinner, the principal.
That's right. Seymour was on The Simpsons, right?
Yep. So
I saw a funny
Simpsons video too. So you've got the best player in the world going up against the best goaltender in the world.
You think he's better than Shesterkin?
I think so. I think when it comes playoff time, Bobrovsky's on a whole other level.
Okay, playoff time.
There's also a part of me that even though it's primarily a regular season award, I want to say for the way that the Rangers bowed out, in that series, I think that might have also cost Shesterkin the Vezina, and I think it's going to go to Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg.
No, because I think like Major League Baseball and the NFL and whatnot, your regular season awards are voted on before the playoffs.
I also, there's still part of me that even though the Rangers had, won the President's Trophy, I think still, I think that Hellebuck still had a little bit better year than Shesterkin. I think he
I'd
had
have to look
more
at
wins, and I think his save percentage was a little bit better. His goals allowed wasn't as much because New York blew teams out a lot of the year, whereas Winnipeg still finished in the top 3 in the West, even though they went out in the first round.
yeah. No, and the regular season trophies are such a goddamn crapshoot. I mean, someone put up the stats today. Just going to another one for you. The MVP race several years ago between Derek Jeter and Justin Morneau, and they put up like their batting average was very similar. Their the amount of hits, the on base percentage, all of them were very similar. And someone put in the comments, yeah, but Morneau hit 35 bombs. Jeter hit 12. So it's you know what, it's such a crapshoot. I think Shesterkin has a little bit of a head start on that because he's in New York. He's with the Rangers. He's not with Winnipeg. So I mean, we'll see what happens when the NHL awards come out. They usually do them beginning of August, right? We hear about it.
Yeah, something like that, or like sometime in like mid-July or somewhere in there, because I know the draft is coming up later on this month once the finals are over. And I mean, for me, I'd love to see McDavid and Draisaitl get a cup, but there's also part of me that would like to see Florida for getting this close last year and running into Cavs syndrome, that all their top stars were busted up, and that's why they actually bowed out so early in that series. That and then also their head coach Paul Maurice, I've been a fan of for a lot of years, even when he was in Toronto of all places. But he's such a class guy, and I would love to actually see him finally get a ring, because he's like one of the best coaches in the history of the league who's never won one.
See, when I don't have a horse in the race, I honestly pull for the teams of the guys who really have played a long time, don't have one. I mean, as much as I hate the Houston Astros, Jim, it was nice to see Dusty Baker get a ring.
Yep.
But I think there's only one or two times that I don't pull for a guy to get a ring. When there have been in the league a long time, I did not pull for Roger Clemens to get a ring, because screw him.
Right.
And look who the fuck he did it with too. It's just, you're a fucking mercenary, Rocket. Go back into roid rage, you scumbag. Sorry. David Justice was talking smack about him too.
Not wrong.
I know. This is the one platform where I feel like I'm right a good majority of the time.
Because
outside of this, not so much.
Because we make all the rules and change all the questions. We are the Roddy Pipers.
Yes, we are. Oh, leather jackets with the Wise Guys logo on it.
I have a leather jacket in there.
I've been looking into t-shirts. 3 of them to be exact. 1 in your size, 1 in my size, and 1 in Bobby's. So with what you're seeing, what the Panthers are doing right now, and that is being probably one of the most economical teams I've ever seen, 2 goals, 6 shots. Does Edmonton need to just try and break down the Bobrovsky wall, or are they going to have to get creative here?
I think it's something that they really need to just they're doing everything right at this point, that they are putting every piece of rubber that they can find on net. I mean, I don't know what the line is right now and how many shots that Mick Draisaitl have. I'm pulling that up here momentarily through this.
Mick Draisaitl?
Yeah. Because it's the best combination in hockey right now. It's the best 1-2 punch in the league.
I like that.
McDavid has 2 shots so far. Looking through this right now, Draisaitl's got 3 shots. McDavid's got 2, and McDavid's a -1 so far tonight. Ryan
How do they
Nugent
get the plus?
Hopkins with
How do they
2.
get the plus minus in hockey?
Plus minus is determined by if you're on the ice, when who's on the ice when an even strength goal is scored.
Okay, so both of Florida's goals being on even strength, obviously Connor McDavid wasn't on the ice for one of them.
Right. So he's already a -1 for tonight. Leon Draisaitl was not on the ice for either, so he's at even right now, and he's already logged 11 minutes in ice time, and they're not even halfway through.
Oh wow! When you say 11 minutes in ice time, and I keep forgetting how much these guys are actually moving on every single thing. So could it go 7, Jim? Do you think in the Stanley Cup, or are we looking at a shorter series?
It's got every possibility under the sun to go 7, but I'm not sure if it's going to really go any further than maybe 6, as Sam Bennett just laid out McDavid. Sam Bennett's already got 8 hits in this game, and he's only been on the ice for 8 minutes.
Is he a goon, or is he just?
Oh, he's just a physical player. I am going to finally change that during the break.
You should change it to pivot.
I wish I could, but the problem is that it would also change the it would actually change the my morning alarm.
Oh my god. And we shall pivot to a second topic in tonight's hat trick.
Let's go here. Let's kind of flip things up.
Oh, let's do the Vanessa Williams mathematical equation on this. Save the best for last. Anyway, let another gambling bet. Dude, did you see this son of a bitch lost more money than he made?
Yeah. What, like $130,000?
Yeah. Tucupita Marcano, formerly of the Pittsburgh Pirates and now with the San Diego Padres organization, he gone.
Also formerly now of the San Diego Padres organization.
Oh yeah, he gone. Gets a lifetime ban for betting on baseball. Did you see they broke off other people too?
Mm-hmm.
Dude from Oakland got a year-long ban. He's, he don't care. He's going to Sacramento next year.
I mean, if you look at this now, this is now, and we got a brawl. Sorry, McDavid went hard to the net and tried to put one through, and then Curtis Brown came in on the backside and tried to stuff it home and got and jammed several times at Bobrovsky's pads, and now we've got 2 or 3 fights out on the ice. Some helmets have come off. I have not seen any gloves dropped, but everyone's got a dance partner.
And this isn't a baseball fight. This is a fight.
Yeah. And he was right to actually go for that puck. And yet the officials waved it off because it did go in the net. The puck was actually, I'm sorry to be taking away from this topic, the puck went in the net. That should be a goal because the puck was actually resting. So if here's the goal line, the puck was here and the pad was literally on top of it, but the puck wasn't completely covered by a glove or anything. So it still should have been live. So that should have been an Edmonton goal. But they waved it off immediately. But anyway, getting back on topic here, we've got, Pete Rose got the lifetime ban. Shoeless Joe and the Black Sox got the lifetime ban. We've now had, we've seen Calvin Ridley get broken off for a year in the NFL. We saw that guy with the Rockets get broken off for life. And a lot.
And now we got Jonte Porter, the guy from Toronto, who is they're saying was fixing games.
That's who I was thinking of. Why was I don't know why I was thinking of the Rockets, because I know the Rockets have Otto Porter.
Color scheme. The picture of him is the Raptors uniform with the City Connect with the triangle.
Okay.
God awful ugly.
Yeah. But I mean, we knew that, and yet somebody out there put something out on Facebook or Instagram, and it was funny that, in the coming years, you're not going to be able to go to the guy was trying to go to a game but not place bets. So as he was having his ticket scanned at the gate, they were asking him who he wants to bet on, and they were walking him. It's like, I just actually want to watch a game. I don't want to place any bets. And they actually said, okay, he's drunk, he's out of here.
You know what kills me about this? And this is me just being the person I am. And I'm itchy as hell tonight. Sorry. The quote unquote mothership of sports media has an app called ESPN Bet.
Yeah.
Every league is in bed with DraftKings or MGM or one of these betting apps. And you talk about all the money you can make, and guys are doing, former players are doing podcasts that are sponsored by the betting apps and everything. What the fuck? Why are we shocked by these things all of a sudden, James?
It was one thing when, you'd watch the ticker on ESPN or Fox or CBS, and namely with ESPN and Fox, because they actually would have the ticker that would cover the entire bottom, where CBS really didn't have that. They don't, because they don't have any of the major, the major leagues or anything. So, but the only thing you would see would be point spreads. And that's point spread has always been a thing, as far as any of us can remember. Even our parents would be able to watch a game and see the point spreads. But now when you're actually starting to see over, under, and money lines on there, we knew it was going to, and yet there's still a third of the union where sports betting is not legal in their state.
Yeah, no, and it's not. Now, here's the other thing too that blows my mind. I understand playing these leagues is a privilege, or officiating like John does is a privilege. I get that. You can sexually assault people and play. You can violence against women and play. You get broken off for 4 games for steroids and no one bats an eyelash. You can do all these things and play, but you can't fuck around on an app. Now, if you want to, and this is where I would draw the line. If the guy with Toronto, if he's fixing games, he should be tossed in jail. Yes. That's mob shit. If it's don't bet on your sport, like we were talking about when John was on. Don't bet on baseball if you're a baseball player. Don't bet on football if you're a football player. Don't bet on the NFL if you're a football player. Don't bet on the NBA if you're in the NBA. But you can't saturate the market in most of your sponsorship money with fucking DraftKings and FanDuel and then expect these guys not to take advantage of it and trying to make money.
And what's funny is that I don't remember what I was watching. It was earlier this afternoon, and it wasn't even on ESPN or it wasn't even sports, but there was a DraftKings ad on just a random daytime channel. Again, had nothing to do. What a save.
You're reminding me of the dog from Up right now.
No, but Nugent Hopkins basically had a wide open net, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Bobrovsky, flops on his back and basically kicks the puck halfway to center ice.
Jesus.
That might have been the save of the game. But they're talking about, like, with DraftKings now, that you can go into settings and it'll let you put up limits, like a daily spending limits, what types of bets you would limit yourself to, and then times, only certain times of the day where you're allowed to make bets. Like, if I could go in there and say, I only want to bet $10 between 3 and 4 p.m. and only play over under games. And I can do that. And it's just, if you're a gambling, I hate to use the term degenerate, because there are people who are, but there's a lot of people where it's a disease for them, and it's things like this have ruined lives.
Agreed.
But it's and kind of kudos to to that, for being able to set that. But who's to stop those people from going in and making those changes, unless they actually have to contact them to change the limits or something?
Yeah.
But it's kind of where fantasy football has kind of ruined the NFL experience to some. This is now starting to ruin all of sports.
Agreed.
Because think of what we're going to see this in 4 weeks in Paris as well. And it's going to
See,
be,
how the fuck you been in the Olympics?
It's going to be 18 hours a day of that. Because you're going to have events first thing in the morning when the sun comes up, all the way up until midnight.
Yeah, no, I know. And just so you know, they have now put the Stanley Cup Finals on ESPN Plus. So now, I too will be the dog from
up. Have the draft at the Sphere next year. That's going to be pretty cool.
Is that not where the draft for the NFL was this year?
Yes.
So listen, this guy, screw him. No one cares. And all the people are saying, oh, look at Ohtani is because he is Ohtani. No. Ohtani was a victim of fraud.
And the other thing is that even if Ohtani did make some bets, the problem is that he was playing in Japan when this was happening.
And there's nothing that says you can't bet on other stuff if you play in Major League Baseball.
Exactly. I mean, I could be a Major League Baseball player, or even in their system. I could be playing in Akron at AA, and I could bet on baseball. Problem is that I'd have to bet on the international leagues.
If you're going to throw some money at the KBO,
or the Dominican leagues with Jake Taylor.
Speaking of the Mexican League, that's something we got to talk about in the blast too. No, you didn't see what happened yesterday. Speaking of the Mexican League,
yeah,
I'll bring it up in the blast. Let's get to topic number 3 with tonight, which is we are now going to go into the best segment of the night for the hat trick, ladies and gentlemen. And how many times since you and I have done this show has the WNBA been a hot topic for you and I to talk about? We are in year 3 of the Wise Guy Sports Show. And I got to tell you, we have talked more about this young lady than we have talked about anybody else in this goddamn show. And I don't know how long. So is Caitlin Clark being targeted?
Outside of the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, she has probably been our number one. Yeah, probably our number one topic.
Yeah, but we speak at her with respect. We speak at him with he's a piece of garbage. Anyways, and we're going to talk more about him in the second half too. I have things to say.
Yeah, there's his organization. There were quite a few pieces of news, but we'll definitely talk about him in a bit.
So is Caitlin Clark being targeted? Yes. Thank you for listening to the hat trick. No, I'm kidding.
Good night, everybody.
You beautiful bastard. Did you find the dog?
Not yet.
You beautiful bastard. Let me tell you something. That just made my evening. That really just did.
I don't know if you played it, but you know the game. You've heard of Horizon Zero Dawn?
I've heard of it. I've never played it.
But you've seen it.
Yeah, I've
The
seen
game-
I've seen videos of it. I've never personally gotten
Game
involved in it.
Awards yesterday did their summer showcase. Later on this year, very early next, there is going to be a Lego Horizon Zero Dawn.
Stop it.
And it will be on Switch, and I will be picking this up because just like all of the other Lego games, all the voice actors will be smartasses.
We have Lego Avengers, Lego Marvel, all the Lego Harry Potters. And by the way, we have the Lego Harry Potters for both the Xbox and the Wii. So yeah, no, we partake in the Lego games as well.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the trailer for this one, and it looks. I'm like, I loved the original Horizon Zero Dawn when it was on because it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to play this one.
That'll be cool. So let's talk more about the best shooter this side of Steph Curry. Because did you see what she did last night?
30.
38 and 9.
record.
Yeah, 38 and 9. Yeah, all she does is shoot threes. Shut up, you hood rat. First of all, Kennedy Carter, the only reason your name's never been anything in the paper except for the police blotters because you took this girl out. So please don't sit here and tell me anything else. That's number one. And number two, is she being targeted? Yes, she is. Magic Johnson had a hell of a thing. Did you see he was on Kimmel the other night, which is like his second home. But they are calling Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark the Magic and Bird of the WNBA. So Kimmel asked him point blank. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, known for his journalistic, chops, straight to his face. Are they the Magic and Bird of the WNBA? He went, yeah. So think about that. Think about the guy who signed the first ever $1 million a year contract in the NBA. Think about the guy who came in with him after playing in the NCAA championship game against him and started a friendship/rivalry that took us into the mid-90s. There's one big difference in this.
There's several big differences, but go ahead.
I'll give you the first one. Magic and Larry, play-wise, were on the same level. Individually, Caitlin Clark is head and shoulders play-wise above Angel Reese.
Yes.
Is it because of the positions they play? Probably. But is it because I have never, and I watched women's basketball since UConn's first championship in the early to mid-90s, I've never seen a more pure shooter of the basketball as a female than Caitlin Clark.
And that's including Diana. That's including Sue. That's including Becky.
And Sabrina. All of them. And when I say she's the most pure shooter, this girl's range is disgusting.
And her release point, because you notice because a lot of them have to kind of square up. She's got that catch and shoot kind of ability.
And she did that 2 or 3 times on those threes last night as they beat Connecticut. None of the criticism is Indiana's not any better with her in the lineup. They're not a good team. They picked first for the last 2 years in a row for a fucking reason.
And at this particular point, they're going to be probably top 3 next year as well, because there's I want to say Washington's got fewer wins than they do.
They're gonna if they get the first pick again, dude, and they run out Aaliyah Boston, Paige Buchers, and Caitlin Clark, hang them up.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting, but that's also, and I love the girl to death. I've been following her since her junior year of high school. But I'm hoping that Paige can stay healthy, because last year was
As
the
am
first
I.
time she did stay healthy. But, because we thought that was what she was going to do her freshman year, and then she blows out the knee. And then she does the other knee. So thankfully she's got that extra year of eligibility from COVID, and then also a redshirt year. So she could actually, so next year she's out of eligibility. Gino's got a new 5-year contract up there. So let's say
That dude.
I'm sorry, Paige is not going to be, she's not going to come in with as much fanfare. I mean,
No.
depending on who else actually comes out with that draft and how they play, she'll be a lottery pick. She may not be the number 1 overall. She might be a 2 or 3 in there, barring injury. But she's going to be a franchise player, whether it's Washington, whether it's Minnesota, whether it's Indiana. She's going to basically be able to come in and be a focal point for a franchise who needs one.
No, agreed. Agreed. She's got that kind of talent. Now, depending on where she lands in the draft and where teams stack up, I mean, you can get your hopes up a little bit. That you're going to run out there, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Paige Bugers, and you're like, oh.
Because that's the thing that Paige actually plays. Paige could play the 2 or the 3. And
you run her the 3.
Exactly. You put her at the 3, you can have all 3 of them on the floor at the same time. But then you run into the problem that the Cavs had, is that you have too many stars on the floor and only one ball.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
So, me personally, as interesting and as great as that would be, I kind of hope that Paige ends up in some place that's like maybe a Washington D.C.
How about Connecticut?
Connecticut's one of the best teams in the league, so I think the chances of them landing her, unless she slips, is essentially non-existent. Paige, I think, is going to be a top 3 pick, and Connecticut right now, I want to say, has got the second best record in the league.
Yeah, they just won 9 in a row before they lost to New York, to the Liberty.
Yeah, which I want to say was the Commissioner's Cup. Their in-season tournament.
Oh, they're having I didn't realize they're having it.
Yeah, that was today.
So let me ask you this question.
Because let's also be honest, before you answer, you're right. Nobody's heard of Kennedy Carter before, the last couple of days, and why they rescinded the tech is beyond me. When they tossed Reese out of the game, the other night, but they've actually said that they've been harassed in their hotel room, and it's like somebody brought it up. I'm sorry, ladies. Those are called reporters. They're going to take your photo. They're going to ask questions. They're going to be intrusive at times. They're going to be in your hotel lobby when you're trying to check in. Get used to it.
Well, you want the exposure. You say the league is worth the exposure. I agree with you. My sarcastic tone has nothing to do with my feelings on the WNBA. But you're running your mouth that this girl's not the only reason. I hate to break it to you. 20,000 people just watched her play basketball. You haven't drawn that kind of people. Not even Angel Reese has drawn that kind of people. Yeah. She's selling out arenas.
Yeah. And for, somebody put this up when she made those comments the other day, because I think somebody called them, and I'm quoting here directly, they called them, quote, ghetto bitches, end quote. So naturally, this conversation is going to go racial in the eyes.
Yeah, and it's not. That's not what this is about. But I will say this: did you see the guy who tweeted at Angel Reese after Caitlin? He goes, "Jonte Parker's got a better field goal percentage, and this boy was trying to miss." She ought to stay off social media after that, Jim.
Yeah,
that was bad.
And Angel Reese is a very good player. She got,
She's
she got a
phenomenal.
national championship, and the 2 years ago, she was a lottery pick this year. Um, but she's not on the level,
She's
where-
not.
this is where the Magic and Larry thing stops, because here's the other thing is Caitlin is light years better than Angel as a player. But the thing is Larry and Magic were friends. There's no way these two are going to get along. This
No.
resemble a lot more Robert Parrish and Bill Lane Beer than it will Magic and Larry.
Still more rings than Angel Reese is going to get.
Both of them.
Well, Lane Beer's got, what, 2 rings in the NBA and a ring in the WNBA as a head coach.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That still blows. What is
The only
PK Subban wearing?
The only way Angel Reese is going to see 3 rings is in
The
Burger
circus?
King. When she gets thrown out of the league for actions like this.
Sidebar. What is PK Subban wearing?
God damn it. It won't shut off.
Turn the phone off.
What it was doing is that because it's one of the first times that happened, the Google Assistant tried to come on. So it was blocking me from being able to stop it. But
Gotcha.
Last thought on this.
Yeah, look, watching both players. Now I have watched replay packages for both players. I've thrown on a fever. I actually had a fever game on the other night after I put Bobby to sleep for about 15 minutes because I was starting to fall asleep too, and I was just going to bed. She is so good. So good. And she is humble about it. She's not the braggart type. She's basically the kind of star you're going to build this league around. The person she took over the record for most points scored in women's college basketball, and Kelsey Plum, did not have this coming out. And Kelsey got 2 championships.
Yeah.
And maybe the best left-handed t-shirt throw in the history of t-shirt throws. I don't think and I get there's professional jealousy and there's this, I understand that. Should the WNBA have gotten this kind of level of attention before her? I agree with that wholeheartedly. I do. I'm still a Cleveland Rockers fan, Jim. First of all, her teammates got to start throwing hands. Because first of all, she's the meal ticket. And second of all, she's their best player.
You know what I'm thinking of.
When I call her the meal ticket?
No, throwing hands. You know what I'm thinking of. And you said it to me.
The Drayana Green?
We may or may not link that after we go off the air tonight. We might link that in the comments.
I think that should be the thumbnail for the episode.
Not for copyright purposes.
Oh, come on. We found it on fucking Facebook. 2-0 ended 2. What the hell is PK Subban wearing, by the way?
A good question, but there's a Hulu documentary coming out about the Brat Pack that
I saw that. I want to see. It does.
Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Emilio Estevez, and Demi Moore have not aged in 30 years.
I want to know where they signed the deal with the Devil.
Probably the same place that signed where Jennifer Connelly signed.
Or Paul Rudd.
You're a dick.
How am I a dick?
Because of what we talked about yesterday.
I see Paul Rudd is aged.
Speaking of which, coming up later in the episode, I watched a movie today that had a 2-second cameo of who you're referring to, the main character in that movie, that we'll probably discuss for a couple of minutes.
What movie did you watch today?
I'm not going to say it now.
Come on. You're killing me. Well, hey, Jim, we did it. We're only at 45 minutes, and we're about to go to halftime.
Assuming I can actually get everything queued up properly. What is my deal tonight?
You have your mind elsewhere.
Shut up. Shut up.
You got to get the subject.
Even know yet.
Bullshit.
Oh wait, maybe she does.
She does. She does, because I had to inform her because she color coordinated her calendar with, and the show is in orange, like the hat you made me. And I said we may have to change it. Someone may have plans, and she goes, "Well, that's a really good reason to change it." I said, "I know it is, but we don't know yet. And when we know, I will let you know so you can change your calendar. If looks could kill James, you'd be doing this show solo."
Man, the guards need to drop the chalk and quit outlining Miami tonight. Jeez.
Did Hosey swing at Tim Anderson again?
No, but Kwani went deep.
Jesus, who's pitching for Miami?
Let me see here. Munoz, who was making only his fourth MLB start. 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 88 pitches.
Sounds like a Rick Wild Thing Vaughn line.
And the Guardians sent out Ben Lively, who had his third or fourth consecutive great outing. Only 3 hits and a strikeout over 5 innings.
Blake pitched, huh?
Again, referencing that certain gentleman. This new kid that they brought up, this Schneeman, this kid is hitting 455 since he got called up.
I envy the Guardians farm system, especially the pitching, because God knows the Met pitching is dog shit.
Well, there's talk that they actually have been linked to Bo Bichette before we get out. Did you actually see before we get out? Did you see
Kevin Biggio got DFA'd today? Bro. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. They're going to be very, very happy.
I definitely think so. But I mean,
do you know who should?
I think if you're the Guardians right now, with the way that your offense is playing and the fact of you got, all that good young talent in Columbus, who's actually, you basically plug them in and they're ready to go. And look at what, I'm sorry to say this right now, David Fry has made Bo Naylor obsolete.
Is David Fry a catcher?
David Fry in the last week has played left field, second base, third base, first base, DH'd, and also caught.
I wouldn't put him behind the plate much. I wouldn't. Because, first of all, how well do you handle a pitching staff? Because the one thing I can tell you from watching the Guardians play the Mets, Bo Naylor knows how to handle a pitching staff, does David Fry. You can't fuck with that. This team is going to go as far as their arms are going to take them. Don't mess with it. Keep him in the lineup by spelling people and playing other positions. Do not. I repeat, do not fuck with the battery. It's called the battery for a reason.
I will say that they needed tonight's blowout because they had lost their last 2. They lost the first one in the series to Florida last night when they gave up 2 in the 7th and lost 3-2. And then they lost to Kansas City in an afternoon matinee on Thursday where they were up 3-1 going into the 8th. And the wheels fell off. So for the best bullpen in baseball to basically surrender back-to-back leads against, number one, the team that's chasing them, and number 2, Florida's still hovering around 500. I mean, they're going to get things right, but I mean, it's good that they're actually going out and laying the wood to Florida tonight. Go out, get another series win tomorrow, and then just go from there because Kansas City right now, is only 2.5 back.
Yeah, no, you got to keep pace and keep that team down. But the team that should take a flyer on Kevin Biggio, you know who it is? Houston.
Wouldn't that be a story?
Why not?
Although my fear is that as good of a player as he is, he's you know he's going to go to he's going to go to someplace that's in a worse off position, like a Washington, like a
The Mets.
Colorado, yeah, possibly New York. It's I don't think he'd come to Cleveland because at that point they're so loaded in the middle of that infield right now.
Too loaded. Too loaded. So let's head to halftime. Let's come back, hit the blast hard, and then of course end the evening with the translator.
We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
See you in a few. And welcome back. You didn't unmute again. Unmute.
I wasn't talking directly. I was actually looking for my mic and Ike's.
Oh, they sound good. The Mega Mix. Yes.
Paired really nicely with my sheet salad and spiced Coke tonight. But I'll live in the gym after I get back from Mr. Tire tomorrow morning after I've got a slow leak in one of mine.
What are we doing tomorrow? We got shopping to do tomorrow. I think we're going to do the DoorDash thing again. And then it's going to be 99 here tomorrow, so it's not going to be much.
But it's a dry heat.
Not in the coast. What was it? Do you watch, not Foxworthy, do you watch Jeff Dunham a lot? Or did you used to?
Yeah.
But it's a dry heat. Screw you. Dude, you keep pulling out these great ones on this thing, and it's wonderful to hear. I mean, I use this.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I use that all the time.
What did you say to start that little rant? What do I do?
You find stuff for this thing. Words aren't escaping.
You had said something else, and I had another one queued up, but I'll let it slide.
I don't remember what I said.
I had, I pull these wonderful things out of.
Shut the fuck up.
I can't play it now.
No, you can't. But, you still have the best one from episode 69. When you're like, I can't believe I just did that. So James, what's in the blast, sir? Lots to get to, and let's start at the top with a pretty significant moment during game one of the NBA Finals, as Doris Burke becomes the first woman to call a championship round of any sport in the United States. And let me tell you something, and not as a sideline reporter, I'm talking about on the air, in the booth for a finals game. The new triumvirate for ESPN ABC being Mike Breen on play-by-play, Doris Burke, and JJ Redick, of all people, on who we thought was going to be the Lakers head coach.
At least for now, because he still could be in the running for somewhere. So this entire booth could actually shift for next year.
Again, because remember, it shifted this year with the letting go of Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy for these two. And I got to tell you, if of all the things ESPN has not gotten right over the last few years, which is about 89 to 90% of the things they do, this was right.
Yes.
Doris is phenomenal.
The fact that we actually have Lisa Byington as the lead commentator for the Milwaukee Bucks, and that a major network has not followed suit, as good as Lisa Byington is.
Let me say this. As far as the major networks go, the major national broadcasts don't miss much, though. I mean, if you think about it, even Joe Davis, who they brought in from who, by the way, was Vin Scully's handpicked successor with the Dodgers, who now does Fox since Joe Buck stopped calling baseball. He is amazing. Listen, as much as people don't like him, Joe Buck calls a damn good game. Mike Breen. I love the way Mike Breen calls basketball. A lot of people don't. I happen to.
I do. I just hate him dropping bang every 5 seconds.
Which, surprisingly enough, he did not for Kyrie's shot.
Yeah, but that was such a key moment and everything because the game was still in the balance.
He did for Ray Allen's.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I like Breen. I like JJ Redick. I've been listening to Old Man and the Three a bunch, and then he did Shaq's New Shaq's podcast, hilarious, by the way.
I need to start picking that one up.
It's good. He had Jason Kelsey was on it. He had JJ. He had the one with Gary Owen. Oh God.
You sent me one of the clips the other day.
Oh God. Gary Owen's hilarious.
You know who I think is going to be the next one? AJ Malesko. I think AJ Malesko in the next year or two is going to call a Stanley Cup Finals game.
Oh really? Okay. Now okay. McDonough is on the play-by-play on this one, right?
Yeah. It's McDonough and Ray Ferraro, aka Chicken Parm. That's been his nickname for years. That's going back to the playing days in Atlanta.
That's hilarious, Chicken Parm. And again, Steve Levy, Mark Messier, and PK Subban are awesome. But I still want to know what the hell PK Subban's wearing.
First of all, it's PK Subban, whatever the hell he wants. And I mean, it's the dilemma that, as bad as the NBA coverage is for their, on ESPN for their like pregame or in-game booth and everything, with all the clowns that they have, the NHL gets it right because you've either got Levy, Messier, and that was not icing because that went through the paint. You've got Levy, Messier, and PK, and then whoever they bring in as a fourth at times, and then you've got Bissonnette, Gretzky, Kevin Weeks sometimes slides in, PK sometimes also goes over to Turner, and I can't think of their lead guy in their booth, but because he actually used to be on ESPN, Liam something or other. Liam McEwen, I think his name is. But he's very, very good. The NHL gets it right, whereas a lot of the other networks are very hit and miss because with the NFL, the Sunday Countdown crew is what they are. The NFL Network, very good. Fox Sports, I think, is garbage, but I think CBS has got the best of them all.
Yeah, if you're breaking it down, ESPN has the best for nothing.
Maybe baseball, but
fuck no. Fuck no.
For their studio?
No.
Okay.
No,
I know he's got a very good studio.
They've got a very good studio. That's the network that forgot the Mets went to the World Series in 2015 with that broad on the fucking panel.
Let's also remember that, even though they're late to the game, Turner Sports with their broadcast just presentation altogether and their booth and their announcers, Turner's got everything basically right.
They have, and you figure Turner's booth for the playoffs is Ernie Johnson, Ron Darling, and Cal Ripken. And this is some bias here because of GKR. Ron Darling might be one of the best in-game analysts in all of baseball. I mean, he's amazing. Fox is the best pregame with Kevin Burkhardt and Poppy and Jeter and A-Rod. And then in the playoffs, they bring in special guests, and they have Frank Thomas is on that dais too.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs a few years ago, it was Pete Rose. The year after that, it was Keith Hernandez. They brought Keith in. The big joke was that Gary was sitting home and Ronnie was working for Turner and Keith was working for Fox. No one could throw Gary a bone. But I want to go back to Doris for just one quick second. What they talked about the ESPN pregame, said that she made history and her research, her professionalism, and her handles and heels. I can't argue with that.
Keep in mind, Doris Burke's in her early 60s, I think.
Yeah, and she played. This is not somebody who was that she played and was good. Hey, do you think she agrees with Nancy Lieberman that Caitlin Clark should have knocked out Kennedy Carter?
Actually, I think it's pronounced Kennedy because I think somebody actually said, yeah, she pronounces it that way and put extra emphasis on it. She spells it Kennedy, but pronounces it Kennedy. And punt.
So Justin Jefferson, no, in all seriousness, hats off to Doris and hats off to ESPN. JJ Redick had a great thing when they were on with SVP on his Sports Center after game one. And, she's gracious. Doris is probably one of the better class acts in all of professional sports journalism. Couldn't have happened to a better person.
I completely, totally agree. And for somebody that you just mentioned, as much as we can't stand the Big Four network, for all of their talking heads and all of their shows, you got to admit, SVP there's nobody better.
No, there's not, and there's a reason. Because Scott Van Pelt is old school. Scott Van Pelt is when Sports Center was on all the time. You didn't change the channel. It was him. I mean, one of my favorite. I'm embarrassed by this. It's not good. The one with Jimmy Rollins and him are so good. Who's the other one? Who was the one that did the chair one with LeBron?
Oh, that was Levy, I think.
Was it Levy? No, it was
Levy
John somebody. It wasn't Stu. It was the guy who did Wipeout. John
Anderson.
John Anderson. Because he's also the one who wanted to do his blog with Anthony Davis, and it's blocked. But yeah, John Anderson's another go. But these guys came up on Sports Center. SVP used to do shows with Stu. So
real quick while we're thinking about it, favorite This Is Sports Center commercial.
I have 3 in my top. I have 3 that are even. Hey, you remember some of those baseballs you hit in the home run derby? They were his cousins with Mr. Met. The Mannings all day, every day.
Taking the tour with Arch.
Yes. They're beating the shit out of each other. But my third one is, well, there's actually 4 because it's David Wright and Reyes are in 2 of them. When they don't want John Anderson to know where they're going and David Wright keeps putting the glove over his face. And then Jose Reyes does one with Carl Ravitch and he's telling him more hip, more. You think he's telling him how to swing a bat? No, they're fucking doing salsa dancing right there in the middle of the goddamn thing.
For me, I'm going to go way old school on all 3 of them. In order, Kenny Mayne doing all the soccer celebrations after scoring on a foosball game. Charlie Steiner, come get your whooping with Evander Holyfield.
Oh, with Evander Holyfield.
And I'm going to sound biased for this because I listened to his podcast and I know the backstory to it. Keith Olbermann smashing Alexi Lawless's guitar, singing "Michael, Row Your Boat Ashore."
I got a couple more for you. How about the one where Ovechkin's in the filing in the file room?
That's a good one.
Albert Pujols, when they call him the machine, and the copier asks him why he didn't eliminate him. Or the Y2K one. When Steiner comes running at you
follow me to freedom
if you want to live.
LT in the with the dark helmet, with the visor in the mailroom.
The one with the New Jersey Devil going up. Or Steve Irwin tackling the Florida Gator.
Albert's. I felt so bad for Albert too.
Oh my God. And John Anderson just gonna go, Steve, that's not okay. What was do you remember the one where Posada and David Ortiz?
We all remember SVP for was the Boston 3 party.
Yes. Although my favorite SVP one is the one where him and Stu are wearing suits to warm up in and then rip them off like tearaways, and they got their game suits on.
Two other honorable mentions. Jimmy Johnson with the pickaxe on the speed bump
Hey,
in the
Jimmy.
parking lot.
Drew Brees.
And Drew Brees getting the float. I can't go back.
You need to back up.
What am I going to do? It doesn't fit.
What was the other one? Oh, David Ortiz is sitting in a meeting with Jorge Posada. And Jorge, what's wrong with your hat? And he puts it on. Wally, it's not what you think.
Better Big Poppy commercial. That or Smart Pack.
That's not fair because Smart Pack it's Krasinski, it's Rachel Dratch, it's Chris Evans, and it's Poppy.
Yeah,
you can't compare those.
But Poppy out of nowhere. Sorry about that, your bigness. Did you know he lived here? No idea.
And this is not an ESPN commercial. Do you remember the old New Era commercial? The guy's walking through the airport in Tokyo. He's got a Boston Red Sox hat, and they think he's Big Poppy because he's got the hat on. Big white dude. And he takes it off and he goes, "You know Big Poppy."
God, I haven't seen that commercial in 20 years.
Me neither, but
now I know what I'm going to watch after the show's over.
All the ESPN commercials?
A bunch of them. I got to send you I got to find one of the recent Olbermann podcasts where he talked about that guitar smash because he was actually writing the 6 p.m. Sports Center for that commercial, and they only had one chance to do that with that guitar because of how doctored it had been. And he said,
you know where they got the idea from, right? Animal House.
That's because he did mention that during the show as well, during when he broke everything down. But there was another one where they were doing voiceovers, and it was Carl Ravitch trying to pronounce soccer players, and it was hysterical because Olbermann found the original outtakes from it, and they'd never been played before, and he put them on there. And here is, and I'm going to throw a name at you, and you're going to remember this instantly. Ravitch is swearing into the microphone because he cannot pronounce the name Gianluca Pagliuca.
I remember that one.
Because remember, that was Olbermann's profanity name. Whereas we had Brett Michaels and Marchand, that was Olbermann's Brett Michaels.
Yes, it was.
Gianluca Pagliuca.
We got to get off this because we can go on those commercials all night because that was our childhood.
Yeah. But Justin Jefferson getting the largest non-quarterback contract in the history of the NFL. I want to say it was 4 years, $112 million, and $100 million of that guaranteed.
Yeah, it was a big number,
or like 122 or somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's over 100 million guaranteed. But I will say this: so I'm flipping through Facebook after that deal was announced, and Ken Carman, who you and I both enjoy, is trying to say that the Cleveland Browns are smart because they got Jerry Jeudy signed before he could cash in like that. Jerry Jeudy is not even on the same fucking planet as Justin Jefferson.
I completely agree. Judy's got a lot of, upside with that, and especially now him being paired with Squirrel. Him being paired with Amari Cooper and Njoku, who are all in the top 10 at their position, if not top 5, in terms of raw talent. But yeah, I mean, it's smart for him, for them to actually sign Jeudy before something like this kicked in. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, but I think there's if there's one other player in terms of skill position that deserved this level of contract, take Aaron Donald, take Miles Garrett, take Mason Crosby in Las Vegas out of the equation for the game changers that they are. Um, receivers can actually have that 10, 12-year career where they can be very highly productive 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row. I mean, what a move by Minnesota. The only problem that is that, who's throwing to him right now? You've got a rookie quarterback.
JJ looks real good. Not, no. And let me say this, and let me disagree with you on something wholeheartedly. Let me disagree with you and agree with the other person on, with Anthony Lima on Carmen's show. Jerry Jeudy on his best fucking day wasn't getting this contract. The Browns weren't smart. They were cap savvy. That's not why they re-signed Jerry Jeudy. They signed Jerry Jeudy for two reasons. One, to lower his cap hit, and two, because guess what? Someday, all these chickens are going to come to roost, and they're going to have a fucking pot to piss in. They had to get him on something friendly.
And the other aspect is that you can actually move him from the number 2 to the number 1 option because Amari Cooper's deal is up at the end of the next year,
and he's getting old.
Think about it. He's still extremely productive,
phenomenally productive. But think about it this way:
of who's going to be under center.
Remember when his final game in college was? The first ever college football playoff semifinal was his final game in college,
and he went absolutely off.
No, he didn't. Against Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl? No, he didn't. They held him under 90 yards.
I was thinking of Jamar Chase.
No, yeah, Jamar Chase went ape shit against Clemson that year. But yeah, no, it's listen. Justin Jefferson is the one receiver that was asking for a new deal that deserved this, with just the elite level of production that he has put up. Now, I will say this: they better figure it the fuck out in the quarterback position now.
Now, here's the other thing that begs the question. What is it with the Minnesota Vikings to turn out the best receiver in football year after year? It was Diggs. Then it became Thielen. Now it's Justin Jefferson. And the other two have moved on. And Diggs is still a top 10 receiver. And even though now he's on his third team in 5 years, Thielen moving on. Jefferson's still going to be able to produce at a very high level for at least the next few seasons. Absolutely deserves this deal. You are absolutely correct on this aspect, as they're showing McDavid 6 shot attempts, 5 on goal, 3 scoring chances, and 21 minutes in ice time.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind you. What is mind blowing to me is that Edmonton has had 31 shots on goal, and Bobrovsky is just an absolute fucking brick wall.
Yeah, it's this might actually be something where, there's 6:40 left to go. Nothing's getting past him until until Skinner comes off, and there's a 6th attacker possibly out there. Maybe not even then. And let's regroup for Game 2 on Monday night.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to have to do that.
You're going to have to get one, especially with with the series shifting to Rexall Place midweek, or Rogers Center. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this is.
Still forget the name of that. The name of that building changed.
That was an errant pass. All right, so let's get into the next thing. Lakers are targeting Dan Hurley, UConn head coach, back-to-back national championships, to be their next head coach. Jim, let's look at it this way. Did you see what LeBron told the Lakers when it came to their head coaching search?
I did, but we actually said that there was no way that this was going to happen when we last week. And then now I guess they're talking a big number. And he's also started, even after most of his players have already committed for next year for the chance to be the first one to three-peat since UCLA. It would be historic. I'd love to see it. And I definitely don't want him going to the Lakers, because when that whole thing blows up in 2 years, then he's not going to be able to go back to stores. He's going to end up going into the retread category, or have to rebuild he's going to have to be along the lines of like rebuild like a St. John's or somebody like Patino did. He's going to be that upper echelon coach that won a title, took his chances in the NBA, flamed out, and never got the next level of success.
I will say this about this move. I like what LeBron told the Lakers. Do not make this pick based on next season and me. Do this based on Anthony Davis and where you see the franchise going further. So now all these people saying LeBron's picking the head coach, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. He's not. He likes Dan Hurley. I think Dan Hurley will do well in Los Angeles, because I also think that where the Lakers are right now, they're starting to understand they've got to rebuild this damn thing. Everybody says the GM and this and that. No, when you have a generational player, you do what you need to do to try and win championships right now. Unfortunately, Rob Pelinka is not a very good GM.
And keep in mind that you've got an off-injured Anthony Davis, and you've got a 40-year-old LeBron, and you were still the 8th seed this year.
Exactly. You're
absolutely
2 years removed.
Loaded West.
You're 2 years removed from going to the conference finals. So I look at it this way. Dan Hurley would be a very good hire for any NBA team that is looking to build something. Colin Cowherd, of all people who I can't stand, made a good point. Dan Hurley's like Brad Stevens. Build. Now Brad Stevens is in the front office, and his boys are looking to go up 0-2 in the finals tomorrow night.
I loved when Brad Stevens left Butler to go to Boston. I thought he was going to be the college coach that was going to stick, and he did. But when you got the opportunity, to go get I can't even pronounce his name, Joe Isola or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Their coach now.
Yeah.
Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla.
Well, the only reason he had to get Joe Mazzulla is because Ime Udoka decided to go, traipsing around someone's bedroom he shouldn't have.
Yeah. Guardians win 8-0, hold Miami to 4 hits. Pedro Avila pitches 3 innings and gets a save in a shutout. Sorry, but the save rules in baseball sometimes are an absolute joke.
And that's why they can't fuck with it. So I listen, Jim, I would like this hire for them. From the historical point of it, do I want to see UConn win 3 in a row? Yeah, I think they could too. Especially with like Zach Edey leaving Purdue, and most of the big time, you have the coaching shakeup in the SEC with Arkansas and Kentucky. So you've
got the 3 big guns leaving Creighton. Shaka Smart having to now retool with Marquette after bowing out earlier than expected the last couple of years. You've got the Pac-12 in flux. You've got as you mentioned, Zach Edey. It's gonna and the shakeups in Duke. North Carolina. I think right now that Dan Hurley's got a chance to do something very, very special. And I think I could see the move to the NBA. I don't know about the Lakers because I don't know. It would be like Coach K leaving to go coach the Warriors instead of Steve Kerr. He's got that pedigree, but you don't know how it's going to transfer when he goes to actually having the best players in the college game to having the best players in the pro game even though he's won an Olympic gold medal doing just that with essentially an all-star team. But that was just 7 or 8 games over a 3-week period or maybe a month. You're actually expecting him to do it now for 2, 3, 4 years at 80 games a pop plus playoffs.
Yeah, and I get that part of it. What I will say is this. Dan Hurley might be the perfect coach for them because they know they're on borrowed time with LeBron. Whether it's to go back to Cleveland, play a year, and be done, or if it's father time catching him, he's going to retire soon. You've got to build this thing from the ground up, and he's the kind of guy who he built a program back up after the Kevin Ollie crap. He can do it again.
And yet, what's funny is that Kevin Ollie didn't leave the cupboard completely bare because Kevin Ollie won a championship. And then, then he moved on and the program went in flux for a little bit. But then here comes Dan Hurley, builds it up, wins 2 titles. Last year was even more dominant than the year before. I mean,
yes,
that was eerily reminiscent of Duke or Kentucky or UNLV being just that dominant all the way through.
Yeah, no, he definitely put it on some people. Hi, Luna. In those in that tournament. So listen, if he takes the job, good luck to him. I hope that it works out and that he does well. But I think a college coach going to the pros, especially now in any level game, including hardball, jury's out until you do something with it. That's going to be one of the bigger question marks this year in the NFL is hardball, and we'll see what happens. But I would like to hire, though.
I think the only way something like that works out is that if you've got them going into a position where you've already got established stars as opposed to jumping to an entry level. If he was actually making the move to go to a Washington or a Charlotte or a Houston, who's barrel feeding at this particular point. It's a lot different than jumping to a Boston, a Memphis, a Minnesota, or in this particular case, a Lakers, a team that's already got, established stars going in. Which is why I think Harbaugh succeeds because he's already got quite a few studs, with the Chargers as is, and it's now just molding that with a new face who's already got previous experience.
No, you're absolutely right. The NBA, I think, is a different animal, though, too, because I don't want to sound like this, but I think the egos are just different, too.
Yeah.
So,
because you can have the one alpha in your program in college, but, we all know that Armando Bacot is he's kind of an alpha with North Carolina, but he's got 2 or 3 alphas there with him.
Yeah.
So it's a big reason of why Carolina goes, but he's not the only reason, which is why if the Lakers do sign Hurley, I think it works out because you've got, a top 3 all-time player in LeBron, who's still top 20 in this league at 40 years old. And
scary.
When Anthony Davis is healthy, is probably a top 15.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another scrum in front of the goal as Florida has emptied the net, and he is still a stonewall. I love it. But let's get to that last one. And let me first do this and say this, and it's going to shock you. I think someone gave Jimmy Haslam a non-stupid pill, and he took it. This was genius.
He took the red pill.
He took the red pill and stopped being a dumb fucking redneck is what he did. Asking Cleveland for $1 billion to put up a new stadium when you haven't put a winner on the field consistently in the years you've been there, stupid. Extending the best head coach GM tandem this team has had since Ernie Accorsi and Marty Schottenheimer, genius.
First coach since Paul Brown to win 11 games in multiple years.
Marty didn't. I thought Marty did it.
I think Marty got to 10 a couple of times.
No, they were 12-4 in 87. Or 86, they were 12-4, and I thought they won 11 games the next year.
No, he has 5 years in Cleveland: 4-4, 8-8, 12-4, 10-5, 10-6.
Okay, I thought they won 11 games a year after, they won the 12 because they were the 1 seed the year of the drive, and then they were, I think, the 3 seed the year of the
Well, they were
fumble.
they were the 2 because well, you know what, you're right, because I forgot the drive was here, the fumble was there, so they were the 3.
There.
I want to say they were the 3 the year of the fumble.
Yeah.
And then
So
I want to say that they were like the 4 or the 5 when they got blown out in 89.
yeah. Ooh, excuse me. But what Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry have done has been something this franchise has not seen since its reinception in 1999 in the 25 years since. Now, here is the really good part about this. This does not tie them to Deshaun. So
Yeah.
when Billy is out of here after this year, because there is not a single expert picking the Cleveland Browns to win 10 games.
I've got them 7-10.
I've got them 8-9. And I think they're 8-9 only because I think Pittsburgh's going to end up being a shit show, especially with the second half schedule they have. Dude, that's not even fucking fair. But let's talk about the impact of these two so far. You're talking 2 of the 3 postseason appearances since 1999, the only win in postseason play since 1999. And in reality, as we've talked about it, you get the blown call right of the helmet-to-helmet hit that caused the fumble in Kansas City, you're talking about a team that most likely goes to the Super Bowl under these guys' watch. Now, having said that, you still employ the Bill Cosby of the NFL. You still, because of his contract, have to take flyers on guys and plug them into a situation where if they play well, you're not going to retain them because they're going to get their money somewhere else. So I think, by the way, extending these 2 automatically tells the rest of the world Deshaun was Jimmy's idea.
Yeah.
Because he's basically saying this isn't on them.
Which you'd figure is par for the course, as Florida basically closes it out with an empty netter with Luosterainen. Connor McDavid's going to finish this game with over 23 minutes of ice time and a -2. Damn. And here come the Rats. God, I love those. Do you know the story of why the Florida Panthers throw rats?
Because it's fucking Florida.
During their run to the to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1996, a rat got into the locker room of the old Miami Arena, and I'm trying to remember if it was Scott Mellenby or
there's a name,
or if it was Scott Mellenby, or I'm trying to remember who the other one was, but they literally put the rat on a stick, flipped it up, and the other one just basically like a baseball swung its friggin' head off and killed it by shooting it into the wall in the air. And word got out about that, and fans for the last 30 years throw rubber rats onto the ice. They actually just showed that there's actually one of them stuck up in the netting because some idiot.
There it is. I'm on a delay because I'm on YouTube TV.
Lead in a Stanley Cup final in franchise history in 3 trips. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Because they got swept in 96.
They lost in 5 last year.
And then they went out in 5 last year. Yeah.
That Colorado team
win that they got last year was game 3.
Yeah. That Colorado team beat the shit out of them.
Well, I mean, that Colorado team was, that was the Uwe Krupp. That was actually before the Ray Bork title, but that was like Colorado. That was actually the year that Colorado moved from Quebec.
That was the Joe Sakic, the first year of Patrick Waugh.
Yep.
Claude Lemieux was on that team.
Adam Graves, I'm sorry, not Adam Graves, Adam Deadmarsh, Adam Foote. Yeah.
And Deadmarsh was on the 94 Ranger team too, wasn't he?
Yes.
See, I knew that name. Going back to Andrew and Kevin for a minute, I will say this and mean it from the bottom of my heart. What Kevin Stefanski has done as a head coach in these, we figured took over in 20. So 20, 21, 22, 23, going into his fifth season, has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, think about it. He gets handed the number 1 overall pick in a quarterback and is the first competent coach the guy has, and takes him to the most efficient year since 99 for a quarterback. You win 11 games. You win a playoff game in Pittsburgh where it's not even a fucking game. And then you give the champs every bit they can handle. And again, blown call, shit defense that Chad Henne scrambled for 14 and a half yards on you. Keeps you from going to an AFC championship game that, honestly, your Bills love aside, I don't think they lose that game. I think they would have beaten the Buffalo Bills. The Bills' defense that year wasn't playing well against the run. Nick Chubb was healthy.
You know what's funny is that let me throw this out there. When Stefanski completes this season, it will be his 5th campaign as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. When was the last time a Cleveland Browns coach coached longer?
Longer?
Yeah, there's only 3 coaches in Browns history that would have longer tenures than Kevin Stefanski after this season.
Paul Brown.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So now he's in his 5th season.
So Paul Brown.
Yes.
Not Marty.
No, Marty did 5. 84 through 88. So he's now tied with Marty, but after this season, because of the fact that that's now a 4-year extension.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Paul Brown. How long was Belichick here?
Belichick was 91 through 95, so 4 year, so 5 seasons.
5 seasons. So him, Belichick, Paul Brown. What was the coach of the Cardiac Kids? What was his name?
Sam Rutigliano?
Yeah.
Rutigliano had 6, 78 through 84.
And Marty took over for Rutigliano.
Yep.
Is that it?
One more, but it's very obscure and you'd have to go way back. Blanton Collier.
He was the one that took over for Paul Brown.
Correct. 63 through 70. So
it's scary that I know those things.
Only 3 coaches have long. And here's the other thing. Kevin Stefanski has coached 67 games with the Cleveland Browns. He is 6th. He's the 6th longest head coach in terms of games. He will pass Marty Schottenheimer this year, who's got 71. And in terms of overall wins, he is currently 5th. And if they finish 500 or better, he will pass Marty and Rutigliano and move into 3rd. Stefanski has 37 wins. Marty had 44. Rutigliano 47. So if the Browns finish 11-6 this year, he will move into 3rd, only behind Blanton Collier and Paul Brown. And I doubt he's going to catch those because Blanton Collier's at 76 and Paul Brown's at 158. But in 5 years, he'll already be 3rd on that franchise's all-time coaching win list. He's actually even got one more victory in 13 fewer games than Belichick.
Belichick was still using Romeo Crennel and Charlie Weiss's offense and defense up until the time he left the Patriots. He didn't have Romeo or Charlie in Cleveland. Hello. Right. Remember, Eric Metcalf up the middle 3 times on punt.
Yeah, and then Rack actually had 64 games and only won 24 of those.
Who had 64 games?
Romeo. They called him Rack, Romeo A. Crennel.
Gotcha. And the job Andrew Berry's done putting this team together with the hamstringing that he has been handed by the owner has also been outstanding. Jim, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Cleveland Browns just put Deshaun Watson on notice.
Easily, because even if he plays well this year, they can opt out anytime. I mean, they can cut him if necessary, and I know that they're on the hook with the guaranteed money, but they can basically cut their losses after this season, and it's not going to cripple them.
No, because it's not going to do anything more than it was going to do if he played.
Right.
So dude.
Because you've also got now Jameis Winston, who's started in this league as a backup in case Watson doesn't, because everything that you're seeing of and hearing about him in OTAs, that he's pretty much healthy, but let's actually see when he's up to, full speed in full 11-on-11 practices or even 7-on-7s as opposed to just running drills when training camp, opens in 2 months here. But, you've got a capable backup. And could he actually, whereas we actually were saying that you got Jim Schwartz now as the head coach in waiting. Well, that's not going to happen now that Stefanski's been extended. And, could Jameis Winston be the layover quarterback until you actually can go out and draft somebody when you get your first round picks back starting next season?
It's going to depend on who they end up looking to get in that draft or how they do this year. I think if they have a bad year, the Browns are going to go into next year looking for a quarterback. And if they're smart, let Jameis play or whoever the backup is play and let the guy sit. If they play well, they'll have a lower pick and they'll be filling in. That means that Billy played well this year. I don't think Billy's going to play well this year, me personally. But again, I'm biased because I can't stand the son of a bitch.
There are a lot of rumblings with promotional things and videos that have surfaced that one Nicholas Jamal Chubb could be ready a lot earlier than we think. I still don't think he's ready for opening day, but it may not be mid-season.
Yeah, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. Speaking of Nicholas Jamal Chubb and the Cleveland Browns, Jim, let's talk about what you informed me of just as we were going live. And that is the retirement from Channel 3 of the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. He will still be calling Browns games.
He will still full-time be on the Browns radio network, but for those of you who don't know, typically your play-by-play guys for at least one of your teams also kind of does local news or something of that nature, or made the move from that into the broadcast booth. Jim Donovan has been a sports reporter or the sports director at WKYC TV Channel 3, which is the NBC affiliate here in Cleveland for 39 years, and will be making his final broadcast on Monday. He's already put up a very nice, heartwarming kind of goodbye to his social media posts, but he will be able to call Browns games. And, it's been a very tumultuous last 3 years for Jim. He's now officially hanging up his reporter, hat and jacket. We remember how he missed half of last season battling leukemia. which actually caused him to miss some time the year before.
Yeah, this is when I started going to Cleveland was 1988. And Jim Donovan was on TV then.
Yeah, and Nev Chandler was calling games, and you
Yep.
know, Jimmy, and then after Nev Chandler, it was the late Casey Coleman, and that's when Jim took over. Was after Casey had stepped down.
Yep,
and then unfortunately passed away within a couple of years.
When did Jimmy take over full time? Was I still out there, or was that? Because Casey was when they came back.
No, I don't know. I think Jim was there. No, that pulled up the wrong Jim Donovan. He's been the radio voice of the Browns since they returned in '99.
Okay, so Casey Coleman was there when we were younger, and then Jimmy took over
because
they came back.
Casey was Nev's sideline reporter, and then Nev passed away, and then Casey took over the big chair, and then Jimmy moved in during the hiatus while they were gone, because Casey, I want to say, passed away while they were gone.
I think you're right. Basically what Nathan Zagura did with Doug Deacon. Nathan was a sideline reporter, and
because Casey Coleman passed away in 2006 prematurely at the age of 55. Let's talk about Jimmy. I need to double back on Nathan Zagura. There was something on our last show that I forgot to mention. Now that you bring his name up,
what was that?
Go ahead. Let's finish talking about Jimmy real quick.
Oh, okay. So as long as he can do Browns games, I may start. I'm definitely gonna start listening again this year, as much as I can, because we're coming to the end of our childhood broadcasters. Howie Rose is not in. By the way, is not in London. He's not traveling because he's only doing home games.
8 next month.
Yeah, so Jimmy's getting to the end of the line. I don't know how long we're gonna have Gary Cohen for. Howie's coming to the end of the line. So yeah, it's. Sports in Cleveland and Jim Donovan are synonymous, almost as synonymous as bad sports in Cleveland and Tony Rizzo.
Yeah, it's, our time's going to be limited here in the coming years. We think with Tom Hamilton, who's in his late 60s. For me as a Blues fan, I've got John Kelly on TV. I know he's going to have to step aside before too long. The son of the legendary Dan Kelly, who called all those legendary. He didn't so much do Hockey Night in Canada, but he did national radio broadcasts back in the 60s and 70s for the NHL. But yeah, it's a definite changing of the guard. I can't think of who his name is in Philly who calls Eagles games, but we've got probably very limited time with him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's getting to that point where the soundtracks of our youth are quickly retiring and leaving the consciousness. So what's going on with Zagura?
So I'm at AIW on my birthday. The day after our last show, and they do Gauntlet for the Gold. Nathan Zagura was a surprise entrant because he was the color commentator on the broadcast that they do for Fight TV. Zagura got in the ring. Nathan Zagura is a massive human being. Zagura's got to be 6'8".
Seriously.
Stepped over the top rope.
Holy shit.
A couple of guys and was in that, basically their version of the Royal Rumble, for about 10 minutes. And held his own. Bumped well, hit a great drop kick, leapfrogged over a couple of guys. When he got up and basically unzipped his track jacket and had a rock shirt underneath, like the Brahma Bull thing, I knew he was a wrestling fan. Because the other thing is that the former AIW announcer, his name is Vic Trevelyante, if you watch WWE, that's Vic Joseph who calls NXT and used to be on Monday Night Raw.
Really?
Yes. Nathan Segura can go for being in his 40s. Nathan
Jesus. Well, most.
Segura can probably go better than some of the guys who actually were trained to do that, who are 10, 12 years younger than him.
He's
And
no
when he got
MJF.
eliminated, there were a good 750 people booing the shit out of them.
He's no MJF, though, right, Jim?
I mean, he's not our scumbag.
No.
His promo on Wednesday night was hilarious because he spent the first easily 45 seconds shelling new merch. He said, "No more shilling, no more shilling," and he goes and shills.
Of course he did.
And
Of course he did.
you know, we're not actually going to make the joke about the Jewish, wrestler shilling because he already made it.
No, he didn't.
He did. He can
That's great.
make that joke because he's 26 years old and is in the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame already.
Jesus. So, I think it's time.
Would you shut up? You just pushed the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever clean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is time for the YZ Translator, the best segment of the show, because it's the last segment of the show, as Jim and I give each other names inside and outside of the sports world. And the first thing that pops into our head is actually a thing we will spout out. And it has been epic in recent months. We have had everything from Kyrie Irving again to the former president last week, and Jim almost actually wetting himself in glee that I actually gave it to him.
That will be, if I have any say in it, that will be in the top 5 for the first of the year show.
It's automatically in the top 5 just because I gave it to you and you were just so excited. You were like a little kid who was just given like a $20 bill. It was wonderful.
That
Of course,
was
if he gave it to you, it'd be fucking
than
fake.
doing laundry last week and finding 5 singles in the dryer that somebody left behind.
Not for the air. Anyway, so as is new tradition with the YZ Translator, Jim comes up with a chyron for the bottom that I have no clue what is being said. So, James, if you would unveil the chyron. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I watched that movie for the first time today, and it might be in my top 10 of new favorite movies.
What movie?
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
You had just, that's right. He did make a cameo in that movie.
He was the guy that Liam Neeson shot in the saloon when he was looking for his wife.
That's right.
He was in it literally 4 seconds.
Did you ever hear how Liam Neeson got that part?
I was reading about something with it on Wikipedia, but I didn't go too far.
Basically, on Family Guy, they had said, how stupid would it be if Liam Neeson was in a Western? And when the movie came out or came up and Seth had reached out to Liam Neeson to do it, he goes, I need my Irish accent. And he goes, okay. And that's how it came out.
Guys, I got something going on in the other room with the lights flickering or something that I can see around the corner. Let's take a 5-minute break real quick.
Okay, very good.
All right.
You're muted.
It was issues with the lamp in the other room.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those dimmer lamps. Well, if you crank it up too high and you've got an energy saving bulb, it starts like flashing, like it doesn't know what to do, but it's only doing it with one of the two bulbs. Well, when I broadcast, because it's the main source of light in that living room without having to turn on the ceiling fan, which is in the dining room next to it, it was flickered. I turn it all the way down. So it's at the lowest point. So it's actually on, but it's really dim. And it was still flickering, which it's never done that before.
No, that would freak me out too.
Yeah. So, and I like tried unscrewing, one bulb and then both bulbs and then flipping them. And it looks like it was just a temporary glitch or something, but it's working now because I just got that lamp like 6 months ago.
Oh, see, I remember you telling me about that lamp when
Yeah,
you
because
had
the
just
last
gotten
one
it.
basically blew up.
You like to break shit, don't you?
I mean, I'm just testing its durability, and since it's made of wood, I wanted to make sure it was back with its family.
Did you throw it at someone and tell them to lighten up?
uh,
So that was a joke from the Charlie Sheen roast. So speaking of over the hill former athletes turned actors, Jim, your first name in tonight's Wisey Translator is Tom Brady.
I mean, CBS has already got the best coverage. ESPN's football coverage is even better than Fox, so it gives me one more reason not to watch their channel unless the Browns are on.
He's got week 1, by the way.
Yeah, which is actually why I'm glad that I can mute the TV and deal with the 10 or 12-second delay to be able to listen to Jim and Nathan.
Agreed.
And Gerard on the sideline.
And Gerard, I can go take him or leave him, but the other two, sure.
But I mean, he's not Andre Knott, but nobody else is.
That's very true. I mean, and I will say that he's not Steve Gelbs.
As bad as we talk about, with Fox, a lot of the New York teams, they get it right, but you got to admit, Cleveland, for all of their booths, you've got Hammy and Rosie for baseball on radio. You've got Underwood, Manning, and Andre on TV. You've got John Michael and either Jonesy, or
AC
or Doherty.
Brad Doherty.
And then you've actually, and then not Jonesy, because Jonesy does radio. With Tim Elkhorn, and then you got Jim, Nathan, and Gerard on radio. So Cleveland's got some of the best teams. I'll put their teams up against anybody else's city on the collective.
Yeah, I'll take that. I agree with that, because the only really good team in New York broadcasting is the Mets booth. I mean, the Yankees are such, oh God, get off of their junk.
I mean, Brendan Burke is very good with the Islanders, and with him having he's, because I'm a diehard Islanders fan. It's by the way, they're retiring their third jerseys, and we're not going to do jersey watch tonight, but I got something about that here in a minute. After we finish up the translator, he was part of the dynasty, but the Islanders do. They're one of those teams, kind of like what the Sabres do, is that their TV and their radio are the same group, so they simulcast on both. So sometimes you'll be listening to one of the games on the radio, and they'll actually be breaking down a replay that you can't see, but it's because it's simulcast.
Gotcha. What the hell are you doing back there, Luna? What? She's trying to get out. No, I'm kidding. She's not trying to get out. They wouldn't know what to do. So who you got for me, bud?
Michael, your first name in the YZ Translator tonight hasn't been active in a number of years in his sport, but did something that you probably read about just before we went live tonight that earned him a massive, massive payday. It is former World Series champion Jason Worth. No, it is trying to edit the sound. There.
But Grizzly Adams does have a beard.
And
Dude,
know
could
the
you
story,
be more of a
do not.
fuck? Yeah, he owns one of the horse that won the Preakness, right?
At a 17-1 underdog.
Yeah, that's awesome. And he looks nothing like he did when he played. Looks like he hasn't had showered or shaved since he played either. My favorite Jason Worth moment is he showed up to a men's baseball league game, threw on a uniform, and hit one about 700 feet. Because the pitcher didn't know who he was and thought he was just some asshole.
Speaking
He's
of
got a World
assholes
Series
showing up to place and hitting balls very, very far, you sent me something right before, and I threatened to cancel the show.
That was a bomb, though.
This because otherwise I'm going to be violently ill.
Travis Kelce walked off the charity softball game today with a grand slam, and he's got Heights High basketball shorts on.
It was David Njoku, Cleveland Browns tight end David Njoku's celebrity softball game at Lake County Captain Stadium, which are the Cleveland Guardians Class A affiliate in nearby Eastlake, Ohio, which I kind of wish I would have gone to because what's across the street from there? Biagio's.
Yes. I haven't been to a Captain's game since 2009.
I have never been to a Captain's game.
Took Caitlin and Zachary on nickel beer night, and the nickel beers were like that big.
Do you realize that earlier this week was the 50th
50
anniversary of Dime Beer Night?
Yep.
But
wasn't that like a week after the Disco Sucks game in Chicago?
Demolition, yeah. But yeah, I've never been to a Captain's game, but for me, I don't go there for the baseball. I go there for the donuts.
Yes. We're doing food porn now?
Food porn.
Yeah. What you got for me, dude?
The law of diminishing returns do not apply to Biagio's Donuts.
Yes.
Jim Rome has broken this down. When you get donuts, the first one is great. The second one is also great, but it's not as good as the first. By the third, you're chasing. By the fourth, you're sick of them. When you go to Biagio's, you got to get the dozen, and then you probably got to get 2 or 3 more on the side because you're going to eat those on the car to get them home.
Yes. So I got one more for you tonight, sir. And yeah, I'm going to go here. Jim, your second name in tonight's YZ Translator is Jimmy Haslam.
I'll actually give him credit. At least he stays a little bit more hands-off than the guy he bought the team from, who was a bigger soccer fan than anything. Jimmy, at least, Jimmy doesn't watch guys kicking balls around. Jimmy kicks some balls when he doesn't get the results that he wants.
Okay.
The scandals and everything outside, as a football owner, realistically, I don't have a problem with the guy. It took a little bit of time, and every new owner, unless they fall into an absolute perfect storm, is going to go through some growing pains. You're going to bring in, You're going to swing and miss on coaches and GMs, and he finally got the guys that he wanted. And this franchise has turned a corner, and hit or miss with the quarterback, the framework and the talent is still there for them to still be competitive. If they don't make it this year, they're going to be one of those. They're going to have kind of like, a couple of Baker's years where they're going to be competitive, and their name is still going to be shown in the hunt once we get to Christmas during the last couple of weeks of the season.
Very true. Who you got for me to close it out before we get to the last two things?
Mike, your last name tonight in the YZ translator, it's the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis.
He took a vacation throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs, and now he's going to win the NBA Finals MVP.
When he's sitting there throwing up Bill Cartwright high sort of arc with his release point, with the fact that he's releasing that ball at nearly 9 feet and he's dropping 27-foot bombs that are hitting nothing but net when he should be posting up down low.
He can do both.
Stop that when you've also got arguably one of the 3 best players in basketball and Jason Tatum on your squad as well.
And they weren't even the best players on the floor the other night. Jaylen Brown had a great night.
Yeah.
So I teased something earlier when we were talking about the Dominican leagues or the Mexican league with Jake Taylor. And I said, did you see what happened the other day? The Houston Astros were at a private workout for Trevor Bauer. Do you know he is 6-0 with a sub 1.5 ERA in the Mexican League this year?
You know why? Doors.
They use PitchCom down there too. He was mic'd up on his social media in a couple of at bats, and they use PitchCom. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah. Hopefully.
Did you see the one where he was mic'd up, even though it was for his own YouTube channel, of the immaculate inning that he threw a couple of weeks ago?
I did not. I'll have to go back and watch that.
By the way, you have to watch the new Momentum video that came out today. It was Team Momentum against, I want to say 4. It was a softball game, so they had all 9 on Team Momentum, and they were playing only against 4 actual. I don't want to say that they were professional. Some of them could have been, but slow pitch softball. So it was 9-on-4. The difference is the 9. All the main Momentum players, so Cole and Tosh and Sim and Marika, were using the cheapest and worst rated gear that Marika could find on Temu. Like, Tosh had a glove that was literally the pocket on the glove was 3 inches. It only fit on 4 of his fingers. Sim was using an acrylic bat, a clear acrylic bat, and a glove that had unicorns all over it.
Well, that kind of fits for Sim.
And Cole was using basically a stickball bat that the first time he made contact, it dented the bat.
That's hilarious. So that was the thing I was telling you about before. He should get a chance. I honestly believe that after everything came out,
I don't want it to be with Houston.
I don't either, but the Mets are being stupid, and the Gardos don't need him.
The Gardos need him because Carlos Carrasco is shot.
Yeah.
Carrasco is just there to be able to fill a starting slot until Gavin Williams is completely ready to come back. Because they're getting lightning in a bottle right now with Ben. Don't call me Blake Lively, who's been
That's
right,
what that would be his nickname with Berman, isn't it?
who's been well. Remember when they did? I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they actually, because remember how they said that Players Weekend is coming back before long. Remember how
He had
Beaver
Blake,
Jersey said not Justin? What if
not
Lively
Blake.
Derby says not Blake?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So we got a change for you guys next week.
Real quick.
Oh, something else. I'm sorry.
We said we weren't doing Jersey Watch, but I actually found something earlier today that remember a few weeks ago where we brought up during the thread count that the NHL jerseys were changing over to Fanatics, and we said that there was a possibility that they could be on the ice for the Stanley Cup final. That won't happen because I kind of misspoke with that and I misinterpreted. They said that they were going to be on ice in June. That's actually not going to happen because they couldn't do it now because the contract with Adidas runs through the end of the Stanley Cup finals. Who's to say, though, that because once that season ends, the Adidas contract is over and then Fanatics takes over. And they're not going to run into the same issues that they did with the MLB because Fanatics makes the jerseys, but it was all the design and actual changes that were initiated by Nike. So that's Nike who's to blame, not Fanatics. I don't see Fanatics doing a massive change or having massive problems like the MLB did with the ionized product for the NHL. But they've also said that the Anaheim Ducks and the LA Kings are getting rebrands next year.
I saw the Ducks one, and
the Ducks are going to. There's a possibility of them going back to the Mighty Duck logo with an orange and gold color scheme like they wear now. So it wouldn't be the purple and eggplant. It wouldn't be the jade and eggplant.
I'm down for that.
Because they did bring that jersey back last year, but it was their 30th anniversary.
Holy shit.
The other talk is that the LA Kings are going to bring back the Gretzky era type crest that had the Chevy logo, but update it a little bit so it would be a little bit more streamlined. Whether that means that they would actually put that logo on the current Kings jersey with the piping and updating the crown. So because remember, the old jersey basically looked like you had the chess crown on top of it if you were playing chess online. So regardless of what that means, I'm happy about that. But unfortunately for me, again, the Islanders' third jersey, that NY in the royal blue, is being retired after this year. So I'm a little sad about that.
Yeah, I can see that. That was, I mean, it's hanging on the wall, so it's like, what am I going to do with that? So we got to change for next week. We're going to come to you Friday night, the 14th, as opposed to Saturday, the 15th. It's my Saturday next week is just packed so damn tight. I was like, Jim, let's do Friday next week just to.
Plus, also it's Father's Day weekend, so
Yep.
You're probably going to be doing stuff, Saturday leading into Sunday as well.
I think we got people coming over Sunday. I think. I don't know. You know how my brain is.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
And you know why that is?
It's been too long.
You have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.
Or
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
That could be next weekend.
I'm just tired. So good show, man. We got the first half down to where we wanted to. Now we got to work on the second
half. Yeah, that's going to be the test subject. By the time the 4th of July comes around, we'd like to be down to under 145.
We're at 220.
And we got
say
3 weeks to go.
Hold on, say 215.
I will fix the alarm notification for Friday night. We've got the first half down. We got to work on the second half.
But we will see you guys next Friday at 9 p.m. on the 14th. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you in 6 short days. James, I'll talk to you like Tuesday.
Shit, we'll probably text at some point tomorrow.
Most likely.
Yeah, but I'll also be talking to you on probably Wednesday morning, and you already know why. because of what I've got going on the day before.
Yeah, well, and well, no, because usually we game plan 2 days before. So we'll game plan Wednesday.
Yeah. So we'll
Sounds like a
actually
plan.
have our basic weekly rundown meeting, on Wednesday or Thursday morning as I'm driving into work.
I'm off Thursday and Friday.
Emotional damage.
We'll see you guys Friday.
Good night, everybody.